Lincoln Charter School students, it's Mrs. Peterson here. Today we're going to be making onomatopoeia pop art. So let's get started. The first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get a small piece of paper. You're going to hold this paper horizontally, and on the back you're going to write your name, and then you're going to write your room number, and then you're going to flip over your paper so that I don't see your name anymore. Now, for this project, you're going to have to pick one onomatopoeia word to write nice and big on this piece of paper. You are going to have this reference sheet to help you pick your word. So you can just go through and look for the word that you want to do. I think I see my word. So let me show you an easy way to draw block letters. To start off my word, I'm just going to write it very, very, very lightly with pencil. So I'm going to write my word. Do you know what word I picked yet? Very lightly. And I tried to make it in the middle of my paper. It's not quite in the middle, but I did try to make it nice and big. Now that I have my word, I'm going to go back and I'm going to trace around my letters to make block letters. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm going to start with my M, and I'm going to trace all around the outside of my letter M, and then all the way around the inside. And I'm going to do that for each letter. So I'm going to go outside of my E, inside of my E. I do the same thing with my O, outside. And it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. And then my W. And my letters got a little close together, so I'm just trying to make extra room there. So now I have my word. Now the next thing I need to add before I start to trace is I need to add a shape, a zigzag line or a curvy line that kind of makes my letter go pop and stand out. So I'm gonna do a zigzag line around my shape, and it's just a couple points here and there. It does not have to be perfect. And you don't wanna do too many because we are gonna cut this out. And if you make too many, it's gonna be tricky to cut out. So I think that's pretty good right there. So now I have my inside of my letters that I'm going to eventually erase. I have them traced to make block letters, and I have my border around the outside. Now, before I actually erase anything, I'm going to take a black marker and I'm going to take the cap off, and then I'm going to go and I'm just going to trace my shape, and I'm also going to trace just the outside part of my letters. And this is why you wanted to make your letters pretty big. That way you're able to trace them with the black marker. And so I don't smear the marker. I like to start on one side, and then I will go back towards the other side. And once again, don't worry if you make a little mistake. I just made a mistake there. It's no big deal. No one will notice when your project is completely finished. That's why we do everything in pencil first. That way if you make a mistake, you can just erase it. Okay, so now this is completely traced with the black marker. I'm actually gonna let this sit for just a minute so the marker dries, and then I will go back in with my eraser and erase all of my pencil lines that I can still see. Okay, so this has been drying for just about a minute or so. I think it's dry enough for me to erase. So I'm going to go back with my eraser, and I'm going to erase all my inside lines and any other signs lines, I'm sorry, not signs, that I see. This is why I always tell you guys to draw lightly with the pencil so that it's easy to erase. If you press really hard, it makes your lines more difficult to erase. And I know that because I always press too hard with the pencil when I write. It's been my goal in life to try to press a little bit lighter. Okay, so now that is all finished and I'm ready to start to color. When you color, you're going to pick 2 colors. You're going to pick one color for all the letters, and then you're going to pick one color for the shape that's behind your letters. So my letters, I'm going to make red. And just remember, when you color, you just need to do your very best craftsmanship, your very best coloring. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to color all my letters, and then I'll color the background shape, and then I will check back in with you very soon. Okay, now I have my whole project colored and I'm ready to cut it out. Now when I cut this out, I still want to see that black outline. So when I cut this, I'm going to try to cut right on the very edge. And whenever I cut anything out, I like to turn my paper so that whatever line I'm cutting faces me. I think that's the easiest way to cut. Just going through, going every direction, and really taking my time to do my very best cutting. You don't want any white really showing around the outside. And then of course, once you are finished cutting, you are going to need to throw your trash in the trash can. So now I'm finished using my scissors, and here is my onomatopoeia word all cut out. And we're ready for the next step, which in my opinion is the most fun step. Now I have a new piece of paper, and this piece of paper is a little bit bigger. On the back, just so we don't lose anything, I want you to write your name, and I want you to write your room number again, just in case your papers would happen to get separated. And then after you do that, you can flip your paper over. Now, for this step, we're going to be using the dot markers so we can get the look of the dots in the pop art by artist Roy Lichtenstein. So here I have yellow, and to use these markers, all you do is you twist off the top. And I know it doesn't look yellow on the top. That's just because this top sponge part is always blue, and yellow and blue make green. And all I'm gonna do for these dots is, you don't have to bang it, is I'm just gonna gently press, and I'm going to make straight lines of dots going all the way up my paper. I'm starting on the bottom and I'm just making lines, and I'm barely pressing this, and this marker has a lot of ink in it, so it's coming out pretty quickly. I'm just trying to fill up the whole paper. Now, that being said, I've had students in the past who have also gone completely overboard with the dots. You do not need to go too crazy with the dots. You still want to be able to tell that they're dots and they need that white space in between them. Looks like they have room for one more row. Okay, perfect. Now, before I glue everything together for the last part of my project, this needs a couple minutes to dry. So once this is dry, I'll show you how to put everything together. Now I'm ready to glue my whole project together. So this is the background piece of paper that I chose for my project. On this piece of paper, I'm going to write, once again, my name and my room number. And then I'm just going to put this paper off to the side for a minute. And then the first thing I need to do is I need to put glue on my background piece. This is mostly dry. Mrs. Peterson is sometimes not that patient. So I'm gonna flip this over, and then on the side that had my name on it, I'm going to glue, and we're going to be using these glue sticks. So I'm gonna roll it up, and I'm going to put glue all the way around the outside edges first. And then after I have my glue around the outside edge, I can do a couple of lines in the middle. That's okay if your name gets a little bit smeared. Move this out of the way. I'm going to put my background paper back down. And now before I press my dots onto this, I'm just gonna hold it up and make sure everything is nicely straight and centered, because you want this piece of paper to be right in the middle. And then I can press down my dots. So I have my dots glued to my background piece of paper. Then it's time to put on my onomatopoeia word, and I'm going to do the same thing. I will move my background out of the way. I'm going to put glue on the side that has my name on it, so I'm going to put glue all around the edge of my shape, and then I can put a little bit of glue in the middle. Let me bring my background piece of paper over here, and then this, once again, try to line it up before you press it down, because once you press it down you can't take it off. And then glue on my word, and then I'm all finished with my onomatopoeia pop art. I can't wait to see what you guys made.